screen, you can see, is our career model. This is our career model. There's extra copies in the back. Be sure to grab one on your way out. Basically what it does is it starts out with this self-assessment, which generally occurs in your freshman year, but you will come back to that at different points in your life because things change and you reassess what's important to you, where your values are, stuff like that. You move into, once you figure those things out, and these are things we help you do in the Career Services office. Figure some of those things out and you move into the world of work and you say, okay, this is what I like to do. Where can that take me in the business world, in a career field, down the line, jobs, whatever. And we have tools, workshops such as this one that give you the ability to explore those options and to hear from people who are really working in that field and say, I wonder if that would be a good fit for me or maybe not. And it also gives you an opportunity to head to the next step, which is action planning. It's networking with these guys, talking to them and finding out, what they're doing, what their businesses are doing. And it can be a good link for you in the future to talk about internships. I understand Dave requires internships as part of the program. So never give up the opportunity to network with someone who might be able to work you into an internship or a job. As we know, internships work into full-time permanent jobs after graduation. So we're helping you now, figuring out what it is you like to do, where you can find a career in that area. We're helping you take steps towards that in internships, summer jobs. And we have all this at mycatcareers.com. Is anybody registered at mycatcareers? I know I'm getting lots of nods from this side of the room. Excellent. If you're not registered at mycatcareers, get registered. There's instructions back there also. You guys will leave with a whole handful of paperwork. So make sure you take it and you look at it and you act upon it. So get registered there because there's jobs, there's internships, there's summer employment, there's volunteer opportunities, all advertised on there and all looking for students to help them out. And it's not just for students, it's for alumni. So these are tools that you can use past graduation. We have lots of alumni, 10 years, 20 years, and some going back and looking at those jobs that are posted there, and that's still available. But a lot of people are looking for experienced work. So once you're out of college, you still have, MSU to help you out. And then you move into your senior year, you start your career and job search. You have things like the career fair, and we help you get ready for that. We help you with mock interviews, with resume critiques. We have great career coaches like Nancy that will help you, get everything polished up and ready to go and make sure you're really ready for talking to those employers and making those getting those job offers and making negotiations for pay and salary and moving expenses and that kind of stuff. So make sure you get into our office. We're at 177 in the sub, downstairs just past the Bobcat Grill. Come by and see us anytime. Get some of those papers in the back. Get registered on MyCat Careers. And with that, I have completely lost track of where I was supposed to be on here. I'm going to introduce our panel. First of all, we have Peter Andrews. Oh, there he is. Lead app and project manager with Intrinsic Architecture. Greg Spivak, you guys can come sit up here now. This is where you get to be invited as well. And take a bottle of water. Sweating like I am. Greg Spivak, he's a CAD technician, assistant project manager at Lacani Architects. Scott Keller, he's an adjunct instructor in the civil engineering department. Oh, nice diagram. And he also works for MDT, MSU Design Unit Supervisor. And he's got some pretty special opportunities for you guys to talk about as well. And then the person who can't be here, it was supposed to be on the phone, can't make it, was Chad Trowbridge. He's a principal designer at Worley Parsons and Billings. So, welcome, thank you. And we'll get started and with your introductions and just tell us a little bit about a day in the life. Tell us your background.
Okay. All right, I'm Scott Keller. I'm with the Department of Transportation. That's my full-time job. For the past 20 years, I have run a design unit here on campus. We're located just south of the football stadium. And I hire undergraduate engineering students in civil engineering and construction engineering technology. They work full-time for me during the summer, and then 15 to 20 hours a week during the school year. I've been involved with MSU. I graduated here in 1985, so I went full circle. I've been out in practice for quite a few years now. I guess it's 26 if I'm counting. And the design unit opened up here 20 years ago to try to recruit engineers into the Department of Transportation. We're looking at that being a 4-year program. But there also are a number of other opportunities. Now, my understanding is this is mainly a 2-year program that most of you are in. Okay, we've got other opportunities in that area too, within the Department of Transportation, not specifically in my design unit here on campus, but throughout the department. We have our Helena headquarters, and then we have 5 district offices, Butte, Bozeman, Billings, Glendive, and Great Falls, that we hire designers into that area. So with that, your 2-year degree, you would be eligible for those positions on a permanent basis. And we also have some summer internships that you would be eligible for. And I've got some handouts here afterwards if you're interested. Please come up and see me, and we can talk about the opportunities that we have and the online application process. So, is that pretty much what we were looking for?
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm Peter Andrews. I work as a project manager at Intrinsic Architecture here in town. I have a master's degree in architecture from Montana State University, a bachelor's degree in environmental design, as well as another bachelor's degree from a previous institution as well. My career path to architecture and design work was not necessarily traditional. Like I said, I have a previous degree, so I was kind of going along happily in my life and decided to pick up architecture and go a different route. So I really appreciated some of the things you were talking about in terms of coming back to those sort of ideas about career path. A day in my life, we don't employ design drafters at our office, but we do work with kind of consultants that do design drafting and drafting work on a daily basis. I work a lot in kind of getting projects built, dealing with consultants, structural, civil, on a daily basis as well. So I hit all portions of the allied arts in terms of architecture, planning, structural work as well. So.
I'm Greg Spivak. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I just moved here 2 months ago. I got the job at Lacati. My background is in architecture. I've been in the industry for the last 15 years, working for large, major firms in Minneapolis as a project manager and design drafter. I have a degree in geography and urban and regional planning from the University of Minnesota, and I too kind of came through this from working in the construction field, and it's something that I was really interested in, so I went back to school and got the associate degree in CAD drafting. That's kind of how I came around with that. A typical day, it vary so much, kind of depending on what you're working on. I've worked on small, couple thousand square foot projects to huge projects that I was on a year. I've worked on projects, condominium towers, multi-story to small office buildings. There's just a huge wide variety. If you can, I'm kind of the person who started out being a drafter, and then you just kind of, if you have the aptitude, you can just work your way up into more like project management, going on site, doing things like that. So it's a great foot in the door to start out, and it can basically go wherever you want it to go.
I have a question for you. What kind of, once you got your associate's degree in drafting, what kind of doors did that open to you or for you?
It's with like the technical skills, you can't just, some people maybe pick up CAD on their own, but it's just like kind of a specific skill set that you really need to have to get into an office. Not many people are going to hire you and like teach you how to do AutoCAD or Revit or something like that. So, to get the technical skills, I think you can't just go and learn it online. it's basically, you really have to go to school for it to learn it, you know, from there.
So from there, you started, after getting that degree, you
Mhm.
started as a CAD?
Yep,
a drafter.
and it's still, CAD drafting is still a huge part of my job description as it is today. For me, it's like I want to stay, you know, connected with the technical part of it. I don't want to just, you know, be doing management or just, you know, be doing client relations. It's like, you know, for me to stay current in the most, you know, technical software is a huge thing for me, because that's what I enjoy. I really like that part of it.
But your other skills and talents and backgrounds have allowed you to, you know, branch out and add other persons.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for these guys?
I'm a little bit atypical of the group that's here in that I'm in management, more my area. I have 2 full-time professional engineers that work underneath me, and then I have 8 students that work under, in an umbrella type situation where we mentor the students. We're constantly seeing turnover. In that 20 years that I've been in the design unit, we've had over 120 students come through our program. Our minimum commitment is 6 months, and we have some students stay with us up until graduation for 2 or 3 years.
It really varies, I guess, per project. You know, I guess on some projects it's, you know, once every couple of weeks. Other projects it's every couple of months. You know, it really depends on where the project is. You know, I'm pretty new here. We do a lot of work in the region, so you know, the opportunity to go to work sites is a lot more. When I worked in Minneapolis, we did a lot of work all over the U.S. So with budgets being a little tighter, you know, travel was a little more restricted. So.
We rely on, we're a large department within the state. We have over 2,000 employees, so we rely on our surveyors to get us the information, bring that in, and we use that to design and build our roads. We're coordinating a lot, but it's mainly an office setting. Occasionally we'll get out and actually do some of our own survey out on site. We'll go out and review plans, take what we call plan in hand, literally take the plans out onto the roadway, look at them. But those are probably once every 2 or 3 months that you're going to go out on something like that.
Interestingly, we're a relatively small firm here in town. However, we do a lot of work in town, so the ability to get out on site and oversee construction, have meetings on site, talk with contractors, happens fairly regularly, once or twice a week. Again, we just have the benefit of being in town and doing a lot of work in town as well. So.
You know, for me, I'm in the architectural, and that's solely basically what I'm in. You know, a lot of times sketches will come to you from a designer or from a client or something like that, that, you know, they have ideas, and basically you're putting these ideas down on paper, you know, working through to make sure things fit, things work, you know, like that. I've been doing like a lot of like building code review, so like sizes of spaces, make sure the exiting's fine, the distance to the exits, things like that. You know, from very schematic like sketches to all the way through where you're going to hand this off to somebody and they can actually build the building from it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good answer, exactly. So in my line of work as well as on the architectural side is that starts with meeting with a client, coming up with some sort of idea or concept to be explored, and then seeing how an initial sketch actually works when it's to scale and brought up through the kind of more refined process of design drafting and taking it from all the way from kind of schematic design through design development, construction documents, into a built project. So.
My area is on the heavy civil side. We're actually going to be building roadways, bridges, culverts, those types of things. We use the software to map and produce a digital terrain model so that we can identify what the existing ground looks like. Then we come in and we build a template where we're gonna actually try to build the road, come up with our cut and fill, our amount of excavation and embankment, where we have to move the dirt, where we're gonna have to place a culvert. We work with the bridge designers. They're gonna come in and give us an idea where the bridge is gonna go. We're gonna work with the hydraulic designers to tell us how much freeboard or clearance we have to have above a waterway for that bridge to be located. And then we're gonna match in on each end with our elevations for the roadway. So it's a real collaborative effort for us. We're gonna get that natural ground features, and then we're gonna take our standards and try to build our roadway off from that. We use the software packages to help us as a design guide to lay out horizontal curves, vertical curves, those types of things. I think for me, and I think it's going to be this way in our technical society, no matter what field you're in, communications is a big part of what you're going to do. I think there's some new surveys that have been out, and I know in engineering that a lot of the surveys are showing that engineers are spending more than 50% of their time communicating with others, talking to clients, working with other people, and not so much doing the actual calculations and the technical work. So I think any type of communications that you can be involved in, speaking, of course, we do a lot of verbal communications, pick up the phone, email, writing, technical writing. I think any of those types of areas that you can improve on your communication skills is just going to make you more marketable, and it's going to make you more able to communicate within your field. If you want to move up into management, which ultimately probably most of you do, you're going to have an opportunity to oversee people. And for someone like me, communications and management go hand in hand. I don't do a lot of the technical engineering anymore. I oversee it. I'm still licensed as a professional engineer, and I still do enough professional work that I can understand what's going on. But day to day, I don't count on myself to do that. I'm counting on someone else to do that. And I've got to communicate the end result, the big picture goal of this project being due in 5 years, and how are we going to get there in that 5-year period. And I've got to communicate with a lot of different people to do that. And I think that's probably one of the areas, besides your technical education, that you could really expand on and make improvements with.
I don't know if I can elaborate much more than that, because it was a really good answer, to be honest, that we do work in a much more collaborative society these days, and working with people, being able to communicate, in all forms, written, verbally, is extremely important. And again, 50% of my day is not just staring at a computer, clicking lines, but it's also, on the phone or emailing consultants, talking with someone, being on a job site, and being able to get your point across, convey information verbally in a written form or in any other form as well. So.
And I think along with that, it's the ability to multitask. You're not, like you say, not just going to be sitting there clicking in front of a computer. You could be working on, 2 or 3 different jobs at a certain time to keep those organized, and, to keep up with all of them, things like that, just being organized, and, your technical proficiency. I think it's a big thing to keep up on the current software and, what people are using, things like that. I'll be the first to answer that. I think it's, I like my job in general, but I think the industry is kind of affected by the economy, like a lot of other industries. So I think that's one of the hard things, in the industry. You always have to be networking and, knowing where you're going to go next or what your ideas are next, because, nobody's going to sit in the same job and work there for 30 years nowadays. You have to know people. I come from Minneapolis, where you think it's a big architectural community. In reality, it's really small. When people get hired or fired, it goes through the chain in a matter of hours, that what different firms are doing and what's going on. So I think, to be out there and, to have good relationships, even if you've left an employer, never to burn a bridge, so you can always go back, or, you never know when they're going to be busy again. So I would say that's probably the hardest thing in the industry, but like a lot of other industries, they go up and down, so just to be prepared for that.
Yeah, similarly, the idea of, because of the way the economic situation is at this point in time, is that we're constantly looking for more work all the time, and everything is a possible job, and chasing down jobs. And, you know, earlier on, when the economy was doing really well in Bozeman, we didn't necessarily have to interview for clients or for jobs. Prospective jobs would just come in the door because of the work we did, but now we find that everyone's looking for the recession discount. And so we really have to, hustle to keep ourselves busy, keep jobs active that may have gone on hold for whatever reason. So it is about kind of bridging the gap between communicating, keeping things alive, and it's tough, to tell you the truth.
I work in the public sector, so one of the things that I don't like doing and having to do is to deal with people. We have to go out sometimes to condemn land to build a roadway. It's a really tough process. It's a process I don't personally like to do. On the other hand, I like to turn that around and make it one of the more challenging parts of my career, and trying to come up with a solution that's not going to maybe please everyone, but it's going to be a compromise and work out what we need to get done. We need to get this road built. We're going to have to take part of your property, but we've mitigated and minimized what we're going to take. We're going to move it. That is one of the big challenges that I have, but it also is one of the big areas that I dislike, because it takes so much extra time and effort. In my area, projects aren't moving as fast as buildings. You don't have a private owner that everything's taken care of. I may have to deal with 100 different landowners to get a project built, and it might take 8 or 10 years in that time frame to get that done. And then we get everything the way we think we want it, and then we go to right-of-way negotiations, and we can be held up for 2 or 3 years in that condemnation process and the legal process to get the land, and we may not get it then. We may have to come back and try some other tack. So for me, that's the most frustrating part of my job. I guess I would call it more of a frustration than something I don't like. I'll go ahead and jump in on that one. I think that the most important lesson that I've learned is that you don't want to discount anyone when you're working with them. You don't want to discount a landowner. You don't want to discount anybody in the public sector. You want to listen to what they have to say, because sometimes you're going to be floored. You're going to walk out and you're going to run into some guy that's out in the field working on his tractor, and you're going to pull him over to the side and you're going to tell him what you're going to do about this road, and you're thinking, hey, this guy, he's just a farmer, and you find out that this guy's got a PhD from MIT or something, and he's just doing this as a sideline. So, I mean, you want to listen to people, and it doesn't matter how much education you have or how much credentials you have. Everybody has something to contribute, and if you can pick out the what I call the nuggets, in a mining type fashion, pick out those nuggets and take everything that you can from whichever individual you're talking to, because they do have insight and they do have information that's valuable to you.
I think probably the idea of flexibility, being flexible, not only with your time, but everything that can go wrong will go wrong. We live in an imperfect world, and so to be able to kind of roll with those challenges and accept them as they are.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same about that one. You're going to get calls from contractors. We misplaced these anchor bolts. Can we change this? Can we do this? You're going to get stuff from designers. You sat there and worked on a project for 40 hours and you think it looks great. And they're going to come back. It's going to all be changed on Monday. By the time you come into work, and you have to be ready just to start over. So the flexibility is a huge part of it. Yeah, you can't take it personal. I like seeing the completed product, when you're, put this thing from paper to built up, and then you get to go walk through it and look at it. That's pretty cool, you actually are accomplishing something, getting something done.
One of the greatest parts of my job is that I get to be an expert for a short amount of time. I get to work with either a client specifically, and I get to learn everything there is to know about these people to either help them with a house or office that we're doing for them. So you get to become highly specified in something for a short amount of time, and then you move on to something else, that flexibility aspect of it. So, for example, I'm working currently on a project for some people who own a golden eagle. And so I'm designing this muse for this eagle, which is a fancy word for a house for this eagle. And I didn't know anything about eagles or how they need to be housed. And so I get to become this kind of expert, go to not only in our office, but then also being able to communicate with the client on their level as well, because they actually have a lot of knowledge and stuff to share on that too. So that's the kind of highlight of my job, is that I get to those opportunities.
For me, I'm more in the teaching field. Even though we're building roads, we use real life roads as a teaching tool. So we actually bring our students on board working on a project. I think the end result is really important to me, knowing that we've improved a roadway or put a feature out there that's maybe going to save someone's life. We just recently put in some guardrail that I was involved in Billings, and it's running down the median between the interstate. And in the last 2 weeks, we've already had 4 accidents that would have potentially been fatal accidents. And all 4 of those people have walked away from that with damage to their car versus having some type of physical disability or even potentially a death. So for me, it's very tangible. I can look at the end product and see that we've done something that maybe has made a big difference in somebody's life.
I think a solid technical skill foundation. You have to know how to draft and work on the computer and do that kind of thing. Detail oriented. You want to try and get things done once and get it done the right way. You don't want to spend multiple times, showing it to somebody and they're like, "Oh, this isn't right." And then to get out there in the network. To be, do an internship and get out there. Try different fields. If you're not totally sure which way to go, what you want to do.
I think that's a great point. I wouldn't also discount this idea of real-world experience as well. So if there's something that you want to get into and be a part of, perhaps there's some way to get some sort of hands-on experience, because that would go a long way in helping someone understand what it is they're drawing or designing or drafting. If it is in the construction side or the construction world, maybe you can get on a framing crew or something during a summer to learn about what it is you'll ultimately be drawing. I think you can't go wrong there.
I guess one of the areas I would talk about is getting some experience before you're looking for that full-time job. If you can get an internship with someone, I like to call an internship a 3-month interview. And that's the way I look at it as an employer. It's a 3-month interview to see how well this person's going to get along here. We're going to communicate with you over that 3 months. We're going to see if you can make it to work on time. We're going to see if you can get along with the other people that are there. And at the end of that 3 months, we part ways. Well, we part ways as friends. Even if you don't like that firm and don't want to go to work for that firm, in that 3 months, it was an interview for you of that company. So don't think of it just as the company interviewing you. It's vice versa. And you want to look for good matches. You want to also try to get some experience. I know it's very difficult sometimes to get experience in internships. Look at that as being paid to learn. A lot of times you can make more money. I have a number of engineers that come to me. I was just talking with a gentleman whose son's going to school here today, and he said, he's working construction. He's an equipment operator. He can make twice as much as what you're going to pay him to come work for you as an undergraduate engineer. And I said, you're right, he can. But is that what he's going to school for, is to become an equipment operator, or is he going to school to become an engineer? So if you're ultimately looking at that, you may have to sacrifice a little bit on the financial end, but for some reason you're wanting to move into this field, try to get as much experience as you can before you're looking for that full-time job, and try to look at companies. A lot of companies aren't hiring right now. A lot of companies are hiring interns only, and to be honest with you, a lot of graduates are getting internships, and then the company tells them after 3 months, you know, we have a full-time position here, we would like you to apply for it. But they don't tell you that up front because they're not sure that they want to hire a full-time employee and they don't want that commitment. So even if you're graduating, look at an internship as an opportunity to open up a door, and even if it's only for 3 months, an opportunity to look at that company real closely.
I love how you guys played into that internship. Good message.
Because it's about collecting data and about being able to communicate those ideas, whatever it is you happen to be working on. You know, the satisfaction was, level was mentioned in being able to take something that was communicated by a client, put that down on paper, and then provide those ideas to somebody who's going to put it together so the end result meets all those needs. So this PowerPoint kind of covers a couple different things. What you can do with a career in computer-aided drafting, but also why our design drafting program emphasizes Autodesk products. To answer the second question, there are programs that we teach, software that we teach over and above the Autodesk products. We're going to start a course for our second level students this spring semester, which focuses on SolidWorks. And if you are interested in mechanical or manufacturing or things of that nature, most employers in this area are looking for somebody who has experience in SolidWorks. We also teach architectural GIS programs, map making, and some different things like that. But the idea is that AutoCAD software, or Autodesk AutoCAD software, tends to be the base platform for most things. If you can run AutoCAD, you can pretty much step into anything like MicroStation. It's pretty similar. And it allows us to give you a variety of, exposure to a variety of software in a short period of time. So, I like to ask people what these films have in common. It's also a great time for you to check and see how many of these you've seen. Forrest Gump, Babe, Independence Day, Titanic, What Dreams May Come. I think I'm the only person who's seen What Dreams May Come.
I've seen it,
Have you?
but I am a big Robin Williams.
Okay, it's one of my all-time favorites. Anybody else? Okay, so just you and me, we'll have to have a party. Matrix, Gladiator, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Fellowship, and then Return of the King, Spider-Man 2, King Kong, Pirates of the Caribbean, Avatar, and Inception all have one thing in common. They have two things in common. Okay?
Great movies and it's all CAD.
Well, yeah. Each of them won the Academy Award for Visual Effects, and each of them used Autodesk products for their visualization software. Okay? And again, the whole idea is about communication. So whether it's creating animation or advertisement or architectural plans or mechanical drafting, ultimately it's just about putting ideas on paper. So I got this video from Autodesk that I'll share with you. And I apologize if the sound's not loud enough, but kind of a cool video. Except for the couple spots where we have real people, everything in this video is created with AutoCAD stuff. The trees, the weather. That's just a fun little video. The idea is that in this career path, you are in a visual communication medium, whatever it is that you happen to be communicating. Okay? I like to tell the people that I went to high school with, all of whom are probably old enough to be most of your parents, that we live at a time when the computer geek has become cool. Okay, it's because, thank you, it's because, like this, it's because we've now bridged the gap between the science and the technology and the ability to communicate in a powerful and effective way. And that's what it's about. Comments, questions, quips, queries, quibbles, complaints, concerns? I have, that's hard.
So you're heavily involved in designing three-dimensional worlds? Programming
Me
here?
personally?
Yeah.
No. Do we do some of that in the design drafting program? Yes. When you graduate with an associate's degree from MSU in design drafting, are you ready to create Lord of the Rings? No. Do you have the base knowledge that would make you relatively comfortable in the software? Yes. Okay. I haven't had any phone calls from Pixar yet, but that's not my fault. We'll keep calling them. Hopefully they'll finally return the phone calls. I'll keep trying John Lasseter's house. You know, and the thing is that we all get drawn into this because we have certain things that we lean to. I got drawn into this medium because of architecture. That was my passion. Other people get drawn in because of video gaming or animation or engineering. That's great. You might find as you get more exposure to the medium that what you're really passionate about has changed. And the thing is that this technical level of career is not going to go away. Somebody asked me 2 weeks ago, what do I expect to change in AutoCAD? And I don't know, I don't think that the base software is going to change in any of this design software. I think what will change is how easy it becomes for us to communicate the ideas that we imagine. And I look for that to change in an interface type capacity. I worked on AutoCAD before Bill Gates got out of high school. It's painful to say. So I worked on AutoCAD back when it was commands and numbers and ones and zeros, and even then we considered it archaic. I transitioned through light pens and digitizers and all kinds of different input devices. I remember when AutoCAD transitioned to being able to use icons and a mouse. It was fascinating, it was fabulous. Okay? I look for that part of the software to continue to change. I watched Minority Report, and all I could think about is I've got to get those gloves for drawing houses with. Walls, windows, doors, push, 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 push. And now I work in a classroom where we have a smart board where I can do some of that on the board itself. That's part of what's changing. The need to communicate will never change. We live in a world that is ever increasingly dependent upon people who have the skills to understand the hardware and the software.